welcome to a special end-of-year edition of Culture on I-24 News. Today we're going to take a look back at what we think were the biggest, most interesting stories in the world of culture. I'm going to do that with the help of two fine individuals, Shani Nachshoni, I-24 News culture correspondent, hello, and our editor, Avri Rosen-Tzvi. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for being here. Now, we have a lot of different topics to discuss today, from gender issues to politics to street art, but unfortunately, we're going to start with terror. On January 7th, the attack on the Charlie Hebdo offices took place in Paris, killing 12 people, wounding 11. We all remember that very well. Yeah. There was a very somber feeling that day. How do we think that affected, we know also what happened in Paris later in the year, but how do we think that affected the world of culture? Let's start with you, Shani.
So I want to start with the outcome, because terror, its purpose is to silence criticism, like the criticism that was heard by Charlie Hebdo and the caricatures that they present. And I think that the opposite thing happened after this attack, because Charlie Hebdo is a weekly magazine that was known in France, particularly. And after this attack, the whole world know what is Charlie Hebdo. The whole world was exposed to those caricatures, and maybe even people that never saw this before now know what is it about. Mm-hmm. And people started to use the phrase "Je suis Charlie" in social media. I think that eventually the opposite thing happened, and when terror is trying to silence criticism and trying to silence those voices, I think that if you can even look at, I don't know if it's right to say, like the right side of all, like
there is some positive outcome, I think, is what you're trying to say. The positive outcome is that just to show that criticism is still alive and kicking, and it should be like this.
They did have only a few thousand people who read the magazine before this attack, and they had a lot more subscribers after. I don't know how many of them will actually read it, or if it's just a symbolic gesture. I want to take a little bit of a more somber approach. I do think that people are afraid to talk. I mean, maybe it's out there, but I do think people are afraid to talk, and it was a very harsh attack on the freedom of speech.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in 2016 with that, and we'll judge maybe then. Let's move on to a topic quite different, one that definitely encourages freedom. Caitlyn Jenner became a household name this year, and in general, I think we can say that 2015 is the year that transgender went mainstream. There are plenty of examples, with Caitlyn Jenner, of course, being the most obvious one. Are we there, finally?
No, we're certainly not there. There are still a lot of homophobia and a lot of hate towards LGBT people, and transgendered people get the brunt of that. But it is like huge leaps, to where we were a few years ago.
Caitlyn Jenner,
Laverne Cox on the cover of Time. We had Transparent, the Amazon series, very successful. Very successful. And coming up, the movie.
Second season coming. I think
second season coming up, and also the Danish Girl, a movie with Eddie Redmayne as possibly the first transgender. So it's all over the media. Yeah. Exposure is always good. People get exposed to it, and they get to know it, and if they see enough representations of it, maybe they'll think,
they'll be more willing to accept it.
I want just to say something about the exposure. I think that this is a place, and there are many places where you can say a good word on reality TV. Because we have a lot of bad things to say about reality shows, but this is the good thing about reality shows, that they can bring subjects and people of different...
Early adopters.
Yeah,
they are early adopters of people who are on the fringe.
But you know what? I think that if in so-and-so years from now, people will try to see if reality TV had an impact or an influence on our daily life. I think this is it. Yeah. The much more open-mindedness towards transgenders, gay rights, everything. I think that reality shows has a lot to do with it. this.
No, well,
And Caitlyn Jenner, her place is secure, I think, in the history of transgendered people's rights.
I hate to spoil the mood. We should. I just want to mention also the 2015 saw a record number of violent attacks on transgenders.
We're not there yet, like we said.
But I should actually maybe point out that it's documented attacks, which means that it could also mean a good thing that these attacks were always taking place, but now at least they're documented.
And of course, we're only talking about the Western world and not in other countries where I'm sure their plight is still very, very difficult.
Yeah. All right. Now to Jennifer Lawrence, who is calling out for pay equality in Hollywood, specifically in general. I'm sure she's all for that as well. So it all started with the Sony leak last year.
Of course. So the Sony leak revealed that actresses don't get the same money as actors.
Shocking.
Yeah, totally. I'm still shocked. And that started a protest against it. And we should say that some of the male co-stars joined this protest to help the female actresses to get the same money because they do the same work, the same jobs. But I do think that
basically by transparency, because if everybody knows what everyone is making, then they have a chip for the negotiation, and they don't come in blind.
The person who mostly came out is her co-star in American Hustle, and
Bradley Cooper said that he would in future negotiations share what he's making with his female co-stars, so they'll know what they're.
And I do think, just like we just talked about Caitlyn Jenner bringing the subject of transgenders to the to the agenda. To the mainstream. So I think it brought the subject of equal pay, but the problem stayed the same because I think that women from all kinds of jobs, not only actresses in Hollywood, they suffer from the same inequality. And I think that it is still considered to be, if you're a woman and you insist of getting a higher pay, you are considered to be problematic. And it's not the psychological thing should change.
Even Jennifer Lawrence, when she wrote her op-ed about it, she came out and said that she sees it as her failure in a way because she wasn't willing to stand for what she thought she deserved and be aggressive. She always wanted to come across as sweet and nice and not be painted in a certain way. I hope we'll see a change in that this year.
We're due to see changes in pay equity.
And I hope it will
also trickle down to
translate
other fields, maybe journalism. All right. Now, also major changes this year in the world of late night television. Some hosts left, some new hosts came in. Very important shows that went through difficult transitions. Avri?
Yeah, well, we said goodbye to two giants of late night, David Letterman and, of course, Jon Stewart. David Letterman had an immense impact on the world of late night and the way, in his sort of weirdness and the way he brought his personality into it. He did it in a whole different way. And Jon Stewart, of course, a lot of people think he had immense political influence as well.
Was even accused as being an advisor to President Obama.
Yeah. They certainly talked about that. So they left after years, leaving great legacies, and we got the new people. First of all, Stephen Colbert, who took over for Letterman, and I think he's doing a tremendous job. I really love what he's doing with the show. He's really bringing his spirit to the show.
He really reinvented the show.
He reinvented the show in his image.
It works well.
Yeah, and we have Trevor Noah, who's basically. I
like the concept of Trevor Noah. I have to say, just because he wasn't as famous as other people in the they had like a name bank of people who might.
A lot of people didn't want it. A lot of people didn't want it.
But I want to follow up on that. You're saying you like the concept.
Yeah,
I can understand why you like the concept. But what I'm curious is if you like the result.
Well, he has huge shoes to fill. I mean, it's still the same writers, so they are keeping the spirit of the show, but he doesn't have yet the charisma, you know, to into that role.
It's the facial expressions, because Jon Stewart can make a punch with a facial expression. He doesn't have to say a word. He doesn't have to be like super sharp. He can just do a funny face that explains
he did
everything.
Have 16 years, I think, of
Yes.
training.
Let's give Trevor Noah a few more years to get into the role and see what he does then.
All right, let's get local for a moment here and talk about Miri Regev, who's, of course, the Israeli Minister of Culture and Sports. She got the appointment, and there were a lot of headlines. You know, I can't remember ever a case where culture would open all the news stories. You know, that would be the of course, but it's a rare occurrence.
She finds the happy spot in each story.
Shani, we should have you. We should have you over more
What
often. Maybe we'll get some of that. No, but seriously, I mean, she got the job, and she pretty much started a war with the cultural
with the elite, let's say, the more sort of European looking,
the old guard of the art world. And I don't know, a few months, this was, I think, 6 or 7 months ago. What has really happened in this time frame?
That is my point.
Well, she talked a lot. She talked about closing down the military radio station. She talked about closing all kinds of establishments that did things that were left-wing or highbrow.
Defunding the Nakba Festival
defunding the Cinematheque because it was
defunding the Jerusalem Cinematheque because of that film about Yigal Amir. There were a lot of defunding. There was a lot of defunding going on.
There was a lot of defunding talk. Okay, not actually defunding, because eventually it was not. She wasn't able to really defund those places.
Not everything is in her power.
But I do think it's dangerous. Okay,
how so?
Talk can be dangerous, even if you don't get to
signaling what she's willing to support, what she sees favorably. You know, it's like it's an art critic.
Yes,
it has the effect of silencing people, because people, even not knowingly, want to avoid trouble. You know, they don't want to be in headlines for butting heads with culture. Maybe some of them do, but I think a lot of people just want to make their art and not, not have the threat of defunding over their heads all the time.
Yeah, Shani, last sentence.
Just maybe we should think about the Israeli culture world as not being balanced enough, and I do think that there's more place to other kind of opinions in the theater world, music world, whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be instead of left wing.
More opinions is great.
More opinions is good.
Right. Shutting up people, not so good.
Exactly.
Last but certainly not least, we want to discuss Dismaland, which was an incredible endeavor that took place this year. Banksy, of course. Shani, you're a fan, as all of us.
I think the most important cultural event of this year, because we can see here an artist who makes street art, which is pretty amazing as a thing, and he created this amusement park of different displays that criticized everything in the modern culture and in the modern world.
And with a lot of style, with this signature style that we all love so much.
The paparazzi, the war, the migrants, everything. And it's just amazing to see how much works of art can do and can make people think differently.
We should say he collaborated with many artists on this, but he's possibly the only one in the world who could have, made such a display. I think that his criticisms are a little bit on the nose and a little bit flat, but, that's a topic for another discussion, maybe.
That's also a bit of his style. He definitely points you in the right direction. He doesn't do he doesn't take you the whole way. It lets you enjoy it as well, and I think he succeeded wonderfully with Dismaland.
This is the charm of pop art, I think. It is very accessible.
Yeah. All right, it was a pleasure discussing these topics with you. We have time for a very, very quick lightning round where I want each of you to say their choice for something we should have talked about but didn't. Let's start with Chani.
Bill Cosby. Okay, it's a very big issue. I think it's important that men and women in this industry will speak out and say things that are not right when they happen. And even if someone was very, very funny in the 80s, it doesn't give them the right to, just walk away with nothing. And I hope that
we'll see how that story keeps developing. My choice, if I am allowed to make one, is true crime documentaries. We've seen it late last year with the first season of Serial. The second season just came out now. We've seen it with Jinx, which was, I think, one of the best creations of the year. And just now also with Netflix's Making a Murder, a very interesting show indeed. It shows how, true stories can be seen from different approaches. Very quickly, Avli, because I took your time.
For me, as viewers know, it was the year of Star Wars.
Yeah. You said it all. Thanks, Chani. Thanks, Avli.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you at home for watching as well. Please join us for another year of culture in 2016. Bye-bye.